Good morning. I just arrived at my destination. It was about a 2.5 hour drive from my house here in North Carolina. And I'm up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I'm just off the Blue Ridge Parkway hiking to a waterfall. I have been to this waterfall once before, about 1.5 years ago, in early fall. It wasn't quite peak fall colors, but so I hadn't been back to this waterfall since then, and it was also a really rainy day and everything that I came out with my husband. But this morning it's just me hiking down to this waterfall. So my goal for today is to get some good slow shutter speeds of this waterfall and to figure, just to try some things. There's potential for some wildflowers, so hopefully that would be awesome if I can get a shot of some wildflowers. And this waterfall, I think that would add some great foreground for the waterfalls. So hopefully there's some flowers blooming at the base of the waterfall to get some good foreground interest in my waterfall photos. So anyways, it's not that far of a hike down. It's about a 45-minute hike is what the sign says, or it's about a mile, so not too far from the parking lot. It is there's a steep kind of downhill portion to get down into the waterfall and everything. So yeah, so when we get down there, I will kind of get my camera set up, and we will I'll kind of walk you through maybe some of the shots that I take and how I'm setting up my shots and my camera settings, so you can kind of get a little bit more detailed info about how I set up my waterfall shots and everything. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just continue hiking on down the trail on this windy, which is why I'm wearing my hat or ear muff, I don't know what you call this thing, a headband. So it's a little bit colder in the morning because of the wind, but it is beautiful. The sun is shining. There are green leaves on the trees, so full spring in the mountains. So anyways, we'll catch you when I get down and get some photos set up. All right. So I'm down here at the waterfall, Crabtree Falls. Right there. So I've already taken a couple exposures, or a couple of pictures, sorry. So right now I'm using a NutriDensity, my 10-stop NutriDensity filter, and my settings are 30-second shutter speed, f7.1, and ISO is 100, which is, I always start with 100 and then adjust my shutter speed and then adjust my aperture, especially when I'm taking waterfall photos, because the shutter speed for me when I'm taking waterfall photos is the most important aspect of my photograph. I'm trying to freeze water. So I did take a couple with just my circular polarizing filter. And I was able to get some shutter speeds, but I really wanted to drop it down a little bit more to get more of that smooth waterfall look. I am taking some vertical photos, yay, which will be fun when I go and use my HP U28 monitor to edit those, because I'll be able to do that in the vertical orientation on my monitor. So How I kind of determine what my shutter speed is going to be when I'm using like a neutral density filter is the first thing I do is I focus. I find where I'm going to focus and I get like that perfect lighting that I want so that the exposure for that photograph is where I want it. And then I actually have an app. It's an exposure calculator app. I will post what it's called on the screen right now, exactly what that app is called. But what it does is it allows me to put in what my camera settings are without the neutral density filter, and then I can select what kind of neutral density filter I'm using, whether it's a 10 stop or if I happen to have something else like a 6 stop or something. And then what it will do is it will tell me what my aperture should be, what my shutter speed should be, if I to like get an evenly exposured photograph. So it's a really awesome app that I just recently found and started using, and it has definitely helped me make sure that my exposure is good, is correct, and it's not super underexposed where it takes a lot more work in Lightroom to try to brighten it back up and get it back into good exposure. So I'm gonna, where I'm at right now, actually before I go, I'm going to turn my camera around so you can kind of see the foreground objects that I have and the viewpoint of my my particular composure that I have right at this moment. So hold on. Okay, so right now what I have is I have some of the down trees and the rocks that are right down there on the ground, and I have this water that's kind of flowing out of the left-hand side of my photograph. And then because I'm in the vertical orientation, I'm able to get this whole waterfall in my shot. And so, yeah, so that is what I'm doing right now is I'm focusing on this rock that is kind of right on the right-hand side where the water's flowing out. Maybe I'll throw a circle on it when I'm editing it so you can see the rock that I'm focusing on. So that is my main focus point on this particular composure. And so what it looks like on back of my camera, right now I'm really liking the way it looks. With the composure, I'll take a couple more shots from this particular vantage point, and I'm gonna go find some other locations and different angles and everything. No idea how well you can hear me because the camera's a little bit further away, but I found this really cool little vantage point where there are some wildflowers growing right here in front of me, and I can get just a little bit of the waterfall behind. Not the full waterfall, but I think from this particular vantage point it's more about the wildflowers and not necessarily the waterfall. So since we can take a few more photos from this particular vantage point, I have taken off the neutral density filter, and I'm now just using my polarizing filter. My shutter speed is a lot quicker. I'm using about 1/60th of a second, so a lot faster shutter speed that I normally take, but that is really about the flowers and, like I said, not so much about the waterfall from this particular vantage point. So I'm just going to take a few more photos and find some different angles from right up here. And yeah, so we'll see what this kind of looks like. Alright, so I am almost back to my car. It is probably less than a quarter mile, maybe like 500 feet from my car. Coming back up from the waterfall. Woo, it is windy. Hopefully you can hear me. But anyways, I came across this really pretty yellow wildflower meadow, and so I've stopped and I was taking some photos around here. I saw a butterfly, which was really cool, so I'm really excited to get those photos on to my computer back at home to edit them. Because it is like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun is literally right behind me. I'm underneath this tulip tree. Yeah, it's a tulip tree that I'm underneath to kind of block out some of that sun. But when you're taking photos of wildflowers or anything that's kind of at noon, 1 p.m., it makes it a little bit more of a challenge. And I have been using my circular polarizing filter for my photos out here on the wildflowers and stuff, taking photos of them. I've been using a pretty wide aperture of like f4. I am using my 24 to 70 millimeter lens because I wanted that options to zoom in and zoom out. As you could probably see, there's some people hiking along the trail behind me. So I wanted to be able to have that flexibility of maybe zooming in to catch the photo, like a photo or two of people walking along the trail with the meadow in the foreground. I have no idea how those photos look, but we'll see if I like them at all when I get home and edit. But I just wanted to have that more options that I wouldn't get with my 50 millimeter prime, which does go down to an f1.8, which would really give me some really good shallow depth of field of the flowers. But I feel like with my f4, I'm getting some pretty good shallow depth of field with that. But yes, you will need your polarizing circular filter to help block out some of the light coming down from the sun, especially at noon, 1 p.m. But I'm just gonna take some more photos around here and I'm gonna head home. So we'll just kind of wrap up this video right here. I was really excited today that I got some photos of the waterfall with some wildflowers in front of it as some foreground interest. So I'm really excited to see how those look on my computer when I get home and do some editing. So I think maybe what I'll end up doing is doing a part 2 of this particular video for the following week, where I will show you how I edit my photos in Lightroom. So maybe so stay tuned for that next week. Maybe you'll learn a trick or two in Lightroom with photo editing to help you with your waterfall and wildflower photography. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, your families on Facebook, wherever. Please share this video. If you have any comments of waterfalls that you love in North Carolina that you maybe think I should check out, or just other waterfalls that you love, please share those below. I would love to hear your thoughts on waterfalls that you like here in North Carolina. If you live here in North Carolina, if you don't, you should come visit. There's tons of waterfalls here. But anyways, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, do that. It would really help me grow this channel and continue making these videos, which I really enjoy doing. And anyways, I'm gonna get back to taking some wildflower photos and then head home. So you have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you next Thursday. Take care, guys. Bye.